Welcome back, guys. I'm out here for day 86. It is 43 degrees out here today. Today, I'm out here in a pair of the Kobe Mentalities, I believe. There they are from the side and the other side. Now, this pair of shoes is actually kind of a Frankenstein of a shoe, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. So obviously, I am a shoe collector, but I had never acquired any of Kobe's shoes prior to his death, honestly. And that little fact stands contrary to my acknowledgement of him as a player. He was, to me, he's right under Jordan. But I was never really in love with the design of his shoes, and I just never really hopped on and tried any of those. But when he passed, and he was such a great player, I'm like, I have to try something. And even though this is kind of like his budget brand of shoe, this was my first Kobe because someone had it locally and it was an affordable price before all of the shoes just kind of jacked up in price and were harder to find. Now, the budget line shoes still shared some design elements from some of his signature line. And this kind of marks, you know, it's not going to say the first low top, you know, that was successful in basketball, because, you know, the Puma Clyde was quite successful as well, even as a low top. But, and that was decades prior. But in this modern era, Kobe really was the player that got, you know, modern players to kind of jump back on this idea of playing in a low top. Now, I have to be honest, the first time I put these on my feet, I hated them, and I thought, what is the big deal? Like, why would anybody want to play in Kobe's? And while I'm being fully transparent, even to this day, I don't own a single signature pair of Kobe's. Now, my son, who is 6, I have gotten him a signature pair that he'll probably be in at around age 8. And when I look at those, I'm not seeing a huge, remarkable difference. And those are the Kobe 8s, by the way. And I'm not seeing a huge, remarkable difference between his budget line and what I was seeing inside of that Kobe 8 in terms of quality. Now, from the onset, the laces of this shoe are not stopped. The prior owner had replaced them because he said the laces had broken, and he replaced them with gray laces. So they normally would have been a black lace. As soon as I purchased them, I went to the car and I took off one of my shoes and I stuck on that one. And I rarely do that because normally I go through an extensive cleaning process with each of my shoes when I buy them used. But in this case, I went ahead and slipped one on, and I'm like, ooh, this does not feel good. And I was hoping that it would be better later, but it wasn't. At that point, I didn't even know that the shoe had a drop-in midsole. And it was sometime later, you know, months later, after I was watching some videos on different shoes, I realized that the Mentality had a drop-in midsole as well. Now, that midsole is made from Lunarlon, and to me, it felt awful, completely awful, like a rock on my foot. And back when these things originally released, I think in 2015, I think they were supposed to, like, that was a highly touted foam. Like, that was an advanced foam, one that felt better than what they had previous. It sucks by today's standards. So the shoes, for the longest time, they just stayed in a box, and I didn't really want to wear them. And I thought, maybe one day I'll sell them. Maybe one day I'll try them again. Who knows? And then another shoe came along, and that shoe was the Zion 3. And the Zion 3 was at Ross Dress for Less for next to nothing. Like, they had the red tag on them, if you know what I mean. Nobody wanted those things. Now, admittedly, I really wanted to like that shoe because the pair that they had in my local store was like this, I don't know, it was almost like a cotton candy, pink and blue, but it was like a 3D effect. It was really cool. But I tried those things on, and then I even came back to the store like 2 other times, and I thought, maybe if I widen in the laces and all that stuff, I can get them to fit, and we'll go from there, you know, like maybe it'll work. Nothing I could do can make those shoes fit. Now, I could get my foot in it, but there was this plastic piece that was pressing down into the shoe or into my foot, and it was hurting like crazy. There's no way that I could have bought those. But the real reason I wanted those is because of the drop-in midsole, which had a Zoom airbag at the forefoot, which felt great on its own. And then I forgot what kind of cushion is in that drop-in midsole, but it's a huge stack of it and it feels great. But in the back of my mind, I was like, if I ever find that pair of shoes really cheap, we're talking about like $20 and less, then I will snag it just for the midsoles. And that's exactly what happened. Because this was pretty much a universally hated shoe, I got a pair shipped to my house for $19, and I took it out, and I had every intention of taking that midsole out and trying them in these shoes to see if it would work, and then throwing the Zion 3s away. But something cool happened. I put the Zion 3 insole in here, and I put the Lunarlons, the ones that felt like crap to me, I put those in the Zions. And when I tried on both shoes, this one felt great. And then, to my surprise, the Lunarlon drop-in midsole must be a little shorter. So I was able to put my foot in to the Zion 3, and it did not have the that plastic piece that was pushing into my foot. And I was like, oh my God, this was it. This is like the solution. All they needed to have done for most people to make it work is to decrease the thickness of the drop-in midsole. Had they done that, the shoe probably would have been at least a little bit more accommodating. The Zion 3 is narrow for sure, but you could still squeeze in there with not much pain. But it was those plastic pieces that were probably causing a lot of discomfort for a lot of people. So anybody in the know might recognize these as Kobe mentalities, but they had the laces switched out, and the drop-in midsole has been changed, and I'm using the Zion 3. And you know, I watched a review by Foot Dr. Zach, who I greatly respect and learn a lot from, but he was essentially giving reasons as to why it wouldn't work, and it would kind of insinuate that no, you shouldn't do it. Now, he was talking about the Kobe 8, so I can't really specifically say that it would work in a Kobe 8, but if the Kobe 8 is anything close to the mentality, I can tell you that it's working for me. It's working in these fantastic from a casual perspective. Now, the shoes themselves, they feel a little stiff. It's a very stiff upper. It's like a fused material. It's very stiff. And I hear kind of a crunching sound, like a squeaky crunch, if you know what I mean. Almost like the sound of two egg cartons kind of rubbing against each other. But the stepping comfort has been vastly improved. To take matters even further in this shoe, make it even more crazy, is that I walk usually with an orthotic, and these are low cut shoes, really low. And I was like, all right, here we go. I put the orthotic over top of the drop-in midsole, knowing fully well that that would lead to heel slip. Now, I do feel some heel slip going on, so from a performance perspective, that's a no-go. But from a casual perspective, it's actually working out a whole lot better than I thought it would, with the exception of the right foot. That extra lift from the rear and from the top of the foot, the tongue, for whatever reason, kind of wants to dig into the foot occasionally, and I have to pull that tongue back. It's kind of frustrating. But overall, those insoles have drastically improved the shoe and made it quite comfortable while I'm walking out here. My advice to any of you is, if you have an old pair of Kobe's and you want to make them feel better, by all means, it's not going to hurt you to spend $20, take a risk, and give it a shot, you know. Yesterday, I went to the store wearing the Under Armour Clutch Fit drives. And on 2 separate occasions, I had 2 ladies that stopped me and complimented the shoes. They really like the shoes. Under Armour, please re-release the original Clutch Fit drives with the Micro G. Get on it. Now, even though there are massive improvements to the cushion of the shoe, I'm not gonna call this like one of my favorites, mainly because the shoe is just way too stiff. It is a very stiff shoe. All right, guys, I've been in these things for 45 minutes. I don't have any major problems with them or anything other than the uppers being really stiff. The problem with the tongue seems to have went away and kind of fixed itself. Everything else is great. With that midsole, the shoes to me are perfect as far as the step-in comfort. It's just a matter of that stiff upper that keeps it from being one of my favorites. All right, that's it for me. Y'all take it easy. I'll see y'all tomorrow.